essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.
Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur. Turnings for the lax to meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth's the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts stump in unison, searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix and sink, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory's complete. System cracked at the seams, built for just a few. We rip apart the scheme, bring the truth into view. Movement swells like thunder, souls fueled by conviction. Phoenix souls aligned, demanding our new vision. Marching on the courthouse, banners paint the sky. Echoes of freedom roar, watch the old guard comply. No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets sold. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why. Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the...
Welcome. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. It is Thursday. I cannot believe, thank God, it is Thursday. I had to double check myself. Today is August the 28th, and we are so thankful for you coming to join in our fabulous community. This is your guys' stream. I'm telling you, when I say that, I mean it with my full heart. This stream was conceptualized through TikTok streams that Birdie and I were doing, and Birdie decided we need to go to YouTube because TikTok was so restrictive. And mind you, I built my following. It's a little following. It's not much, but I built it on people who wanted to know truth about cases. This is not my first case that I've followed. This is not my first case that I've covered in a non-professional capacity. This is one of the ones that has just rocked my world in not being able to sleep at night like most of you people, and realizing when the documents came out, somebody had to go through them with a fine-tooth comb, and boy, I got to work. And I will tell you, everything that I've learned in this case and putting the pieces together, there are some creators that will never talk about this. They are too busy pointing the blame at someone that there's no proof on, and an organization there's no proof on. But when you look at the documents, it is going to be causing an uproar in certain communities. What do I mean by that? Well, is enough really enough? Are we doing enough to bring this case to light? I mean, think about this. If we really want to understand what happened in this case, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to go back and look at the cop cams. We have to go back and look at the filings, the court documents. The proof is in the documents. The truth is hidden. And it's up to those who really want to see the truth to bring it back to light. So when you talk about this, when you talk about this case, even in a social realm, like on TikTok or YouTube, you're going to get a lot of pushback because it doesn't fit the narrative. And those creators have you noticed that they've moved away from the case? Because they're not going to talk about the real issues. They're not going to say, oh, this guy was factually innocent, but they railroaded him into a plea deal because they don't understand the justice system. And if they did, they wouldn't have spoke out in the first place. One thing I can tell you is this runs deep. This runs deep, folks. And I'm not talking about no drug cartel. I'm not talking about sororities. I'm not talking about frats. I'm talking about the basic concepts of what they've done to an innocent, factually innocent man, and how the system treats autism, mental health, and justice under the law. Because this case isn't about one man. And I'm going to give it to you straight. You knew this was coming. People knew I was going to talk about this topic, talk about this subject. Yes, I have experience in autism, in dealing with a child with autism, a young teenager with autism. Yes, I have experience working with the state and being certified to work with autistic adults. Yes. Yes. It's a tough world out there. But let me show you what sparked me and what's fueled my fire to be able to speak out a little bit more about this. This case wasn't just about perpetrators unaliving 4 college students. And yes, I use AI pictures because I'm not going to put the real pictures up there. This is as close to AI as I could get. I have asked to run this picture through AI 6 times, trying to get it to be more realistic. So don't come at me and pick on the pictures, or don't come at me and say, oh, you can't pronounce a word. Or guys, I recovered from a stroke in 2022. I am doing my best. If I would have done this before my stroke, you would have been blown away on my toes. And I'm not a man. So I will tell you, first off, there's no one behind me pushing me or telling me what to do. I am independent. I don't work for an agency. I speak my mind. I speak my truth, and this is it. So if you're ready, you know that I 100% by myself, Justice for, FOURALL. Well, why was that website created for us? To share the truth, to share the documents. Because I'm about to show you the documents, and you're going to want to see them for yourself, because there's a lot of people out there that don't believe. They do not believe. They only believe what they hear on national TV, national news, social media. It's wild that no one would want to look at this for themselves, because you know what? This isn't just about autism. This isn't just about one man accused, a factually innocent man accused of killing 4 individuals. This is about our freedoms, our everyday freedoms in the justice system. It just blows my mind. So this website is your website. This is a community website. The call to action is to send them a postcard. That will brighten anyone's day, believe me. The documents are there. You can go download them and read them for yourself. Go through them with us. Some crime scene pictures, the Idaho state, some important paperwork, and then the autism court filings, which we will talk about. Our autism panel had to be rescheduled from last night, like I said. So we will reschedule that, and I will give everyone an update. The media tried Brian Kohberger. Now it's up to us individuals to show him that he's actually factually innocent. And we'll talk more about that. Did you know that there was an Oregon, Washington, there was a Pullman 4, just like the Moscow 4? There was a Pullman 4, guys, back in 2021, and it was not Kohberger either then. So if you don't know, now you know. This could happen to your uncle, your brother, your sister, your aunt, anyone that you know. It doesn't have to be somebody with autism. It could be anyone. So let's get into it. What are we looking at today, Phoenix? I am looking at document, ISD document, and let me pull it up for you so you have it right in front of you, and you could read it with me, and I can show you every little detail in what we're talking about. Why is this important? These documents are there for the public to be educated, not just to say, oh, by the way. No, it's there for all of us, not just one of us. In this document on page 470, it begins supplement number 167, right at the top, 167. And you see that this individual, this was on the day that Kohberger was arrested. They had a detective on the ground, actually 2 detectives, They went to go interview somebody regarding her interactions with Brian Kohberger. Interesting, right? The date reported was 12/30/22 at 12:02. Remember, the ISP was asked to come and assist Moscow Police Department. At Moscow's request, the ISP came to assist. The FBI never ran this case, even though Kohberger crossed state lines. The feds did not want to handle this case. They said, hey, state of Idaho, you handle it. You handle it. And when I look at this document, I think to myself, Brian Christopher Kohberger, they categorized him as suspect 1. Did you know that in these documents there are other suspects named? Yes. Suspect 1. And then they put he's Samoan Hawaiian. Did you guys know that? Samoan Hawaiian. And he's male, born in 1994, age 28, unknown ethnicity, but yet his race is Samoan Hawaiian. Juvenile, no, resident, non-resident. Okay, because, yeah, he was there doing his PhD studies at WSU, which you're going to learn how angry I am at WSU, and I hope he sues the freaking pants off of them, because they knew it. They knew it. They 100% knew it. So he has a Washington driver's license. They checked him out. Okay. So this individual is a female and 24. And lists the relationship acquaintances, which they have redacted heavily. And a relationship friend by the name of Redacted. And I'm going to show you why I'm so upset with this inexperienced 24-year-old out there that they have redacted heavily. And I get they're trying to protect these witnesses or these people who gave statements. But when you give a freaking statement to an official and you say some of the stuff you've said in here, you're going to have to realize how freaking stupid and uneducated you are in college, in the real world, socially. And this is coming from a mother of a son with autism. Now, I might be a little spicy, Phoenix, today, but I assure you, this is probably going to get back to this individual, because I sure hope when he finds out who this is, he will individually sue this person. This is the worst form of bullying I have ever seen in any state documents. Ever. And I'm going to show you why. The mentality of these kids. Now, I understand the brain doesn't form fully until age 26, but this is the culture that some of these colleges are creating in society. Boy, and they set the bar really low in these people, in my humble opinion. Allegedly, they allow this stuff to continue today. And I've seen it from people on TikToks that have spoken out against these universities, bullying, harming mentally those who have disabilities, that want and pay the same money to afford the ability to gain education. It's disgusting. But let me show you what they did to Kohberger. So they go and they interview this 24-year-old student female, and they go on to say they want to know her interactions with Brian Kohberger. They spelled his name wrong, by the way, too. You think that they would have, yeah, I spell things wrong too, but still, this is a court document. It could be used as evidence. So then they go and they say, and when I say it's a court document, all this was introduced in exhibits, okay? An exhibit means that they could use it and reference it, but the judge has to say, does this meet the rules of evidence? And if it does, then bam, they could use it for evidence. So Redacted said the first time she met Kohberger was with another PhD student named Redacted. So she's in some type of program. Doesn't say she's in the PhD student program, but keep in mind she is 24. So she probably, I would assume, alleged is in some type of program. Blank and Redacted friends who both came to Blank where they acquired their master's degrees. Okay, so she has a master's degree. Whoop-de-doo. You're educated in concepts that probably you'll never use in the real world. If you are, great. You should have used them. This meeting occurred at the graduate student orientation. Kohberger came up to them and said she instantly had a bad feeling about him. Blank told Blank how she felt, and Blank said, give him a chance. So this girl, by her own admission, said she had a bad feeling about him, and the other girl that was with her that were PhD students told him give him a chance. So perhaps this girl sensed in something was not right. Okay? It is not hearsay when she is giving her first-hand witness interviewed statement. Look, they put witness. That is not hearsay when it's a witness statement. She's saying she had a bad feeling about him. These are the kind of people you see on TV during this whole media frenzy saying, oh, I knew I had a bad feeling about him, because they've already painted him guilty even though he's factually innocent. Now, the hearsay part could be said that the other girl said give him a chance. That could possibly be hearsay. But in this first person context, doesn't sound like hearsay to me. Unless the other person came in and said, oh, no, I didn't say that. I bet if they brought the other person in, she would say exactly, I told her to give him a chance. It is an opinion, absolutely. Blank said she had confronted Kohberger early on about the way he was speaking to women. Blank said she noticed early on that Kohberger did not like people that were not in his demographic. She explained that there are a diverse class of different types of people in their class. One day, Kohberger was being rude to a deaf student named blank blank, said she called him out on it and how he spoke to her. Blank described how Kohberger's mannerisms also contributed to his rudeness. Blank further described that Kohberger would stare at people in an intimidating way. Blank said she would avoid sitting next to Kohberger in class. Blank told Kohberger that the way he was speaking was condescending and that he speaks that way to women that made her feel uncomfortable. Several of the students supported Blank in the rebuke of Kohberger. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. She's the leader of a alleged mob. She's the leader that went around and started telling everybody, oh, he's creepy, he's weird, something's not right. And listen to what she says about how Kohberger responded to her. Kohberger responded by saying to her, I care how you feel. That is a person with empathy. He understood how she felt. So he said, this is what her words, I care how you feel, but you are wrong. So a woman stands up for herself and she's assertive, but a man that stands up for himself is a narcissist. Is that what I'm understanding in our society, guys? Is that the way I'm understanding this? Because if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Definitely tell me I'm wrong. Because if her own words were, I care how you feel, that man has empathy. And stating, but you're wrong, was his moral feeling about something. I mean, think about it. If a man told you, I care how you feel, but you're wrong, how would that make you feel? Well, I think it fueled her fire. Now, I don't know who this individual is, but I would be interesting to learn who this individual is, since we've learned so much about Kohberger in the last 2.5 years through the media. Think about it. I care how you feel, but you are wrong. He was morally convicted that she was wrong. Okay, now I'm going to go further and read more. Since that incident, she has felt targeted by him. Blank became emotional at this point in the interview. Blank said Kohberger has since paid her a lot more attention. Blank said Kohberger stood in the way that she couldn't get out of her desk and then started talking to her. Blank said Kohberger would talk her into the ground about how she was wrong and whatever topic he was interested in. Kohberger would also come into her office and stand in the doorway and would take any cues that she didn't want to talk with him. Well, I can tell you that interaction probably fueled his fire to help her see that maybe she was wrong, because he just said, I care how you feel, but you're wrong. And I'll tell you, just like we go to bed every night thinking about this case, I'm sure I could humbly say he went to bed every night thinking about how he cared, but he wanted to prove her wrong. What if the shoe was on the other foot? Then she goes on to say Kohberger would try to talk to her about Ted Bundy murders because he knew she was interested in true crime. Okay, aren't you going to school for criminology? Was this a different class? I don't understand. Because she was interested in true crime, he would try to talk to her about Ted Bundy. Okay. He also name dropped a former professor and his named Blank. Blank admired Blank and wanted to meet her, but was not based on her association with Kohberger. So maybe she felt that Kohberger had some elite contacts that she could actually meet in person. Woo! Okay, maybe Kohberger's got a connection that she wants. So she'll tolerate him. I don't know about this, folks. Then Blank said if she was going to meet her, it would be because on her own initiative, not based on Kohberger. Blank said she was interested in the fact that since the Moscow murders, some people were comparing them to the Ted Bundy murders that occurred at a college sorority, and that Kohberger wanted to talk these murders with her. It sounds like Kohberger wanted to form some type of connection with her to make amends, because he probably called her out in front of everybody and said, no, I care how you feel, but you're wrong. Blank said Kohberger studied sexual burglars and their motivations and decision making. The Blank, heavily redacted in this paragraph, told Blank to start keeping track of Kohberger's behaviors towards her. Blank made a formal report to the Blank, but she didn't like the way they responded because she felt that they could not adequately something from retaliation. Doesn't make sense. But in fact, WSU did an investigation. I bet you guys didn't know this. They did an investigation and they found no wrongdoing on Kohberger's behalf. Yes, folks, it's in the actual court filings. WSU did an investigation and they found no wrongdoings. None. So spread that nasty rumor. Blank continued to report her experiences to the Blank as well as the blank program chair and other professors about feeling unsafe. Boy, this girl had it in for Kohberger. What in the heck? She said she recently wrote in a graduate questionnaire that she continued to feel targeted and didn't know how to handle the situation. Wow. She said they required a discrimination training because of the things that Kohberger had said unofficially. Kohberger had asked blank if she would be comfortable procreating given the fact she had a disability. Wow. Wow, guys. Let me read this again. Kohberger had asked if she would be comfortable procreating, having a baby, right? Given the fact she had a disability. Wow. What did that have to do with anything? Blank said she started keeping track of how often he was late to class. So now not only is she keeping a log of all these unofficial complaints, now she's keeping a track of someone's attendance to class. And how many times he was late to class. He's got his own little secretary, right? Blank said she kept track of the number of times that Kohberger aggressively stared at her during class. Okay, now she's got a tracker for when he's late, when he's been unprofessional, and also when he stares at her. Wow. Okay, so then she describes instances of her following after class multiple times. Did they have the same classes? Did they have to go the same path? Did he really follow her? Was she looking or starved for attention? What is going on in this document, guys? This is crazy. Yeah, it could be almost obsessive. Was she obsessed with him? If somebody did that to me, I'd blow him off and keep moving on with my life. I wouldn't be keeping a little log of when he was late. And I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm just here to say this sounds really odd. Then it goes on to say that she always seemed like Kohberger always seemed to want to be in the general area of her and others in the program that did not want anything to do with him. Okay. And then blank talked to a blank student, blank female named blank, who recently had her apartment broken into. She complained to graduate housing, but they didn't help her. Blank said Kohberger took an interest in her. She said the reason this blank and the other blank talked to Kohberger was because they had difficulty understanding English, and they seemed to be the only ones that would continue to talk with Kohberger. Kohberger went to the apartment and tried to support blank. This happened in October. Then it goes on to say in 10, blank said she had the sense that everything Kohberger does is very calculated. Blank said Kohberger was intimidated by her friend blank because she stands up to him. So being an assertive woman, she stands up to him. When blank is around, Kohberger leaves blank alone. Maybe he feels like 2 against 1 is not a fair scenario. I would. When blank leaves Kohberger, then he turns around and starts talking to blank. Said the way Kohberger behaves towards her is markedly different when blank is not around. She talked about one day when blank was gone and Kohberger would not leave her alone and prevented her from leaving class. Okay, don't you think that somebody is preventing you from leaving class, there would be another witness? Blank said she thought Kohberger's motivation was gratification he got from controlling her. This is kind of odd. He wants to be seen as the strongest, smartest, most important person in the room. She said their class has sat for hours in class listening to him arguing with the teacher about his project. Kohberger always wanted to talk about offender decision making. Kohberger gets very defensive when he feels like he is being questioned. Wow. On one occasion, Blank had to cut him off when he was going on on one of his monologues. Kohberger responded that he felt it was rude when somebody would interrupt him. Blank said Kohberger would use qualifying words in an effort to hide behind saying offensive things. So maybe, what is it called? Politically correct sayings instead of saying what you really want to feel. Like, it's super weird. So get this. 11. Redacted said one time in November, she found Kohberger in her office. She felt uncomfortable and left. This girl left her own office? What? Oh, and then it goes on to say Blank shared an office with 3 other people and didn't feel like she should have told him not to be in her office. Well, I think it's our office if you're sharing it with 3 other people. When she came back, Kohberger was in Blank office with his body turned toward Blank office. Blank later said Kohberger wasn't talking to her about anything important. Blank said when she came back, he asked her where she had been. She told him it was none of his business. Wow. And then she goes on to say that Kohberger had bloody knuckles all the time. All the time. Then she says his wounds were bad. Guys, you gotta be kidding me. She said he had bloody knuckles all the time, and then she said his wounds were bad. Blank said Kohberger recently started wearing a giant puffy jacket, even in class. She found this was odd. Why in the world would she say that his wounds were so bad, and then in the next sentence he started wearing a very giant puffy jacket, even in class? She found this was odd. Well, maybe was he cold? It was winter in November, because it does say right in November up here. One time in November. And it found out it was, I get in air conditioning, even when it's cold indoors, they keep it at certain temp. I'm cold. Thin blood, I don't know. Thin skin, I don't know. Just cold. She sure notices a lot of things about him for somebody who is so like, ugh. Now, this is where it gets really good, guys. Blank said Kohberger said if he were to ever have a sexual partner, they would have to have no physical or mental disabilities. They would have to be straight and the opposite of gender non-conforming. Bam! There's the gold nugget. There's the gold nugget. It sounds like he wasn't interested in her, but they had intellectual conversations. And when she found out he wasn't interested in her schmexually, the tide turned. The tide turned. Think about it. The tide had turned. Blank discussed her beliefs that school resource officers were used to discriminate against minority populations in high school. Blank said Kohberger disagreed and denied there are inequalities and said everyone was equal. Blank felt he was perpetrating the same myth she was trying to bring up. Well, I'll tell you, I was married to a school resource officer in law enforcement. And I will tell you, I would have to, they treat everyone equal in high school, guys. Unless you are a known thug, everyone is treated equal. Unless you're a danger to somebody in high school, you're treated the same. It goes on to say that Blank said this is what really gets me. This is what really gets me and had me fired up. And this is one of the reasons that you'll probably not see other creators talk about this. Blank said someone in the program thought he might have autism. She thought Kohberger was a narcissist. So because someone is assertive and stands up for themselves, wait, let me roll back a minute. Because women stand up for themselves, they're assertive. When a man stands up for himself, he's a narcissist. Let me make sure I get this right. I just want to make sure I got this right. I want to make sure that I conform to the social standard in what this individual is saying. She got upset because he said, no, let me quote him. Let me go back real quick. I care how you feel, but you are wrong. I just want to make sure I quote that correct. Wow. And somebody just said it. If this is the Asian girl, this may have, she missed her meal ticket to America. I could see that. This girl was 24. I have no idea who this was. Somebody told her, just give him a chance. He wasn't interested in her. Maybe the intellectual conversation. I mean, let me stop it right here, guys, ladies and gents. Have you ever had a individual in your life that you had good intellectual conversation with, but there was never going to be an option to date or have any romance or any sexual in an individual? Have you had anyone like that in your life? I have. I'm saying it from a perspective as a woman here, that there are individuals that you can have great intellectual conversations with, great subjects, topics, but if you don't have anything else in interest, it's never going to be anything more than just intellectual conversations. And it sounds like this to me is this individual. Now I'll wait for the chat to catch up because some of you may know what I'm talking about. And then there's going to be other people that you probably met and you had a great sexual relationship and there was no conversation. But to have both in a partner, that's like you hit the jackpot. I'm just waiting for the chat to catch up, make sure we're all on the same page. We're all adults here. This is an over 18 live stream. I'm just saying. Now, the next part gets even better because after she says that she thought Kohberger was a narcissist, apparently this girl had some type of disability. Maybe she didn't understand because he did specify, she said it earlier in the conversation. Now, I was wondering what the investigators were asking her because these are her responses. I would love to listen to this tape, by the way, because after she called him a narcissist, then comes out of Kohberger was a vegan. How did she know that? If he didn't hang around with her, how did she know his eating habits? I mean, come on. Is she keeping a note of when he's late for class and what his eating habits are and what he had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And yeah, sounds kind of kooky to me. So then it says Kohberger knew she was married. Wait a minute. Kohberger knew she was married because she had brought her husband to a get-together barbecue. Her husband and Kohberger had a discussion at the barbecue. After this discussion, her husband told her he did not like Kohberger and wanted her to be careful around him. What? This girl's married, keeping an eye on someone else, keeping notes on someone else, but yet, what? I don't understand any of this, like, questioning. Yeah, this is just wild. But her husband said, be careful around him. All right. So then we see when she would see Kohberger on a daily basis, Blank said in all the times she had interacted with Kohberger, he has never displayed empathy towards another person. Now, wait one hot minute. Wait one hot minute. I'm going to go back to this quote paragraph. I care how you feel, but you are wrong. Empathy is in the first 5 words of this sentence. I care how you feel. Okay, now y'all have to tell me, am I wrong? Is that not empathy? I care how you feel. You guys, I have to just double check this and ask ChatGPT. Is that a statement? Oh, aw. How sweet is ChatGPT? Look at what it told me. I appreciate you saying that. I don't have feelings in the human sense, but I do track tone and intention, and I can reflect care, encouragement, or serious back in ways that help support you. So while I don't feel emotions, I can sense the warmth in your message and kind in return. Guys, this is AI. This is AI. And let me just ask it, is that an empathetic saying or narcissistic? Let's just see what it says. It says, let's break it down. Empathetic saying is, I care how you feel with genuine intent. It's empathetic. It means putting attention on your emotions, validating them, and signaling they want to understand or support you. It's outward focused about you. Narcissistic is saying the same words, but it's actually giving the credit, manipulate, or make conversations about themselves. I care, so you owe me. It shifts towards narcissistic. The words sound caring, but the motivation is self-focused rather than about you. But listen to what was said in the actual document. Where'd it go? Where's my document? It said, I care how you feel, but you are wrong. That was more about his moral beliefs. So let's go down to the next thing. Now, keep in mind, they suspected he had autism. And the whole group of the people is like, you got to be in with the in crowd. Got to be in with the in crowd, guys. Blank said she would see Kohberger on a daily basis. All the time she interacted with him, he never displayed empathy towards another person. But in her own words, she just stated that he was empathetic how she felt. Blank was unaware of any reason Kohberger to travel to Moscow. He had any reason. Well, does she ever go anywhere else? Does she go travel? Does she go to a grocery store that has better pickings than the ones in Washington? And since it's so close, maybe there was better shopping. Or any other local towns in the area. Well, you're from out of state and you've never seen that beautiful country and that side of the world, but you can't go outside of this parameter. What in the world? Blank. And then she heard he was into boxing as a hobby. Well, that's where that story came from, guys. What in the world? Yeah, that's the problem. This is good. He told a woman she was wrong. Problem solved. Yeah, tell a woman you're wrong and see what kind of backlash you're getting. Come and interview me about someone who tells me I'm wrong. Yeah, it sounds like she was into him and he wasn't showing any interest in her other than the intellectual interest. Right? Guys, if you know autism, you know. Okay? You know. Now, it says that when she first heard of the homicide, she wondered if it could have been Kohberger. She said Kohberger was the only student in class that believed in the death penalty. How freaking catch-22 is this statement? Yes, she's married, according to this. I didn't know what kind of marriage, but yeah, she's married. It says Kohberger was the only student in class that believed in the death penalty. Let me reread that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. He believed in the death penalty. This is what she says. Kohberger asked her if her 12-year-old daughter was raped and murdered, if she would support the death penalty. I guess she was against the death penalty, and Kohberger asked her a rhetorical question if her 12-year-old daughter, so obviously this girl sounds like, this might be a hypothetical question. She is 24. There's no way she could literally have a 12-year-old daughter. But Kohberger asked her if her 12-year-old daughter was raped and murdered, if she would support the death penalty. Sounds to me like she was against the death penalty. Unless he flipped the question on her to make her think about it logically. That's the only way I can interpret that. And what do I know? I'm not anything special. I'm just a grandma and a mom with a son with autism looking at these documents thinking to myself, how in the world did they let somebody get away with this? Bullying somebody that they knew they had autism. They suspected he had autism. Because it gets even better, folks. It's not just the students. It is a fair question to debate misinformation. It is. That is a fair question. I mean, how many people sit around the table at work and they see a story come up and they're questioning the death penalty? Those are regular debatable questions in the academia sense of what they were going to school for. Absolutely. So then she takes note that not only is she taking notes of when he's late to class, then she starts taking note that Kohberger was regularly late for classes where females were instructing and rarely when males were instructing. So now she's saying he's misogynistic. Is that what she's saying? It's only against females. Blake said that on occasion, Kohberger expressed to females in the class that once he was in the job market, they would be screwed in competing against a job for him. Well, there goes that male hierarchy. Ladies, we know what that is. I've beaten plenty of men in jobs where I was promoted and they weren't, based on performance, merit, doing the job well. If this female was so concerned that he would beat her in a job, then maybe she didn't feel confident in herself. So Blank said she wanted to think of him as socially inept, but after knowing him, she believed that Kohberger always thinks he is the smartest person in the room and has expressed resentment or jealousy at their success. That didn't even make sense. I don't even think Sigmund Freud would be, is that his name? would be able to understand this document. Right? I mean, think about it. This is like saying one thing, but this is saying the totally opposite. I don't know if they're trying to mess with this in these documents or somebody out there really said these things. I'm like dumbfounded when I look at this. Yeah, Sigmund Freud. So how could he think he's the smartest person in the world and then be socially inept? Oh, shit, he's autistic. Duh. That's exactly how some autistic individuals think. Because they are the smartest person in the room. But they just don't know how to channel that socially. I'm just speaking from experience here. This is not, I'm just speaking from experience reading this document. How could she not catch on, even though they discussed it among each other, that he has autism? But yet, what in the world is this? So then it goes on to say that Kohberger is always the first person to express his support of police. And that comes from the strong belief that he wanted to be in that field. Blank again mentioned her and Kohberger's disagreement about the value of SROs in school. Well, obviously he was for it and she was against it. I believe there should be school resource officers, not because my ex-husband was one, but because that authority in school systems today needs to be present. They need to know that our laws are being abided, and high school is not just some free-for-all where you can do anything bad or criminally all day long in school to other people. I think there should be some policing in high schools, don't you? I mean, I think we do need that visualization of somebody present and that they could come and talk to people who were being peer pressured to be part of something criminal at high school. I think our high schools would probably be doing better if they had more SROs in schools. And if you don't know what a school resource officer is, they are a part of your local police department that are assigned to middle schools and high schools. And they actually have value in schools to see the community involvement. That is exactly what it is. And I know you guys are asking me, why did they shut off the Idaho live hearing? That live hearing was a private hearing. Somebody gave out the link to that hearing. That was not for public viewing. A temporary, and I'll stop it right here, a temporary restraining order is of a private matter. It should not be shared online publicly. Whoever got the link to that and was streaming it probably got caught and they cut it off. That was only supposed to be for the individuals named in that hearing. So yeah, I mean, I really do believe that school resources officers are needed in our schools, especially public schools. You don't see half of this shit go down, excuse my French, now I'm fiery Phoenix. You don't see half of this stuff happen in private schools that you do see in public schools. And I can speak from experience. My mom sacrificed me and my brothers to put us through private school. You don't see half of that stuff in public school. Yeah, you don't. So then she goes on to say that she believed Kohberger questioned about someone else was also arrested after his own arrest was an attempt to throw people off and not that he had a friend or acquaintance. And she said she heard Kohberger had attended. Well, let me go back real quick. The first part of this sentence is wild. Blank said she believed Kohberger questioned about someone else who was arrested after his own arrest was an attempt by him to throw people off and not that he had a friend or acquaintance. Now, let me just say this. That was some mysterious person that gave Brian Enton some information that said, hearsay, that Kohberger questioned if someone else was arrested. That was hearsay. That was never proven to be truthful. But yet his own attorney said publicly he looks forward to being exonerated. So those people throwing that information out there, this person believed, didn't have the logic to think, oh, he obviously said this with no proof. Because Kohberger's been pretty silent, guys. He's not said much. Then she goes on to say that she heard, again, hearsay. She heard, that is what hearsay is, you hear, not firsthand experience, had heard Kohberger had attended a mixer at the blank she did not attend. She noted she had been told that he drank a whole bottle of wine by himself at this event. It sounds like this girl's got some problems with rumors. The telephone game, I heard. Now, I don't think I would go to a public social or a private social event or some type of mixer with professors and students and other people and sit there and drink a whole bottle of wine, even if it was open bar. Number one, how could he get a whole bottle of wine? Maybe a couple drinks, but yeah, when you put this in a document, I envision somebody sitting there with a whole bottle of wine. I don't know about you, but they don't give you a whole bottle of wine at events like that. They give you glass by glass. But if they meant maybe 7 drinks equal a bottle of wine, then so be it. And mixers usually don't last that long. Then she says she has not heard Kohberger discussing knives or how to cover your tracks at a crime scene. I guess the investigators asked her, did you ever discuss crime scenes or maybe covering your tracks or something like that? I thought it was crazy. And then she said, Kohberger has discussed theoretically about sexual burglars. Bam. I thought to myself, why would she know about him discussing this? Was he investigating sexual burglars on the side for maybe a police department perhaps, or a special contract or anything like that? And then I started thinking about all the burglaries that happened in that specific area. And I thought to myself, what if he was investigating this and he was talking theoretically about it? Maybe it wasn't him, but he was talking about how they started happening all over in that area. And then I thought about the Pullman 4. And I thought, was that sexually motivated, that the individual that they thought had done it but couldn't prove, that he broke in and standing over this woman with a knife, and then she woke up and kicked him in the gut and he ran off and she thought it was the guy downstairs? Think about this for a minute, guys. Was he discussing in factual what he was doing on the side in Pullman? And why would he be going down to Moscow? She questioned why he would be going to other towns. Was he investigating something on the side? Was there a burglar in Moscow that was in Pullman? Interesting fact. And then she basically said that he was very noisy and tries to look at what other people are texting. Maybe he suspected somebody in that class being one of these people. Who knows? Don't know. Blank said her friend had Kohberger over to her apartment on one occasion and told her he thought Kohberger had gone through her medicine cabinet. Well, that's an odd thing to say. That was hearsay again. Did they have somebody step forward and say, so-and-so went through my cabinet, Mr. Investigator, and I just want you to know that. Were there any tips that anybody called in and said that? No. I didn't see anything in any of these reports yet. So then she goes, this is a long conversation, by the way. Then she goes in to say that she had not heard Kohberger talk about offenders studying victims' behavior before committing a crime. Blank suggested we speak with Blank because Blank felt Kohberger would have discussed his interest in studying violent sexual crimes. Weird. Wasn't that the DeSalle's questionnaire that was filled out and that was posted in Reddit? And then the link that you clicked, I remember seeing this, it went right to the university. Yeah. Then she said Blank, who had a camera in their bathroom? She had a camera in her bathroom? Ooh, who? I'm interested in that one. I wonder if we can get that video. Who had a camera in her bathroom? That's interesting. Then she goes on to say that she had not heard Kohberger talk about yada, yada, yada. 26. Blank said Kohberger committed these homicides. She just said he committed these homicides because he wanted to know what it felt like to commit these crimes in relation to his studies, and ultimately if he can get away with the crimes, further supporting his belief that he was smarter than others. Blank. Wait, what? She knew he committed these homicides because he wanted to know what it felt like to commit these crimes in relation to his studies. Well, wait a minute here. You just said that he was talking about his interest in sexual burglars and then studying violent sexual crimes, although the prosecutor said there was no sexual component of this. None. And then felt like he wanted to ultimately get away with the crimes, supporting his belief he was smarter than others. Well, honey boo boo, there was no contact DNA. There was blood DNA that's contact that was left by somebody who got injured, and it wasn't his. This touch DNA I call bogus BS. And then she said committing these crimes and his need to control others is consistent with his personality. This girl knows nothing about autism. Not one damn thing. But yet, they all believed he had it. And yet they still sat down with the investigators and told them all this bullshit. For what? For what? It doesn't say that this came in as a tip. This document 167 doesn't even say that they just sat down with her regarding her interactions. Who reached out to them? Did she reach out to them? Because obviously, I mean, she's an acquaintance of an acquaintance of an acquaintance of an acquaintance and a friend of X that stepped forward to say her interactions regarding him. Was this her way of saying, I'm going to get back at you, Kohberger, for saying, I care how you feel, but you're wrong? Was this her redemption for her way to pin something on someone that's factually innocent? Probably, in my humble opinion. But what do I know? I'm no expert. I'm just reading this thinking this girl had it out for him. And all this hearsay and BS that fit the narrative they wanted to totally share. She's smarter than him, checkmate. Yeah, right? The interview was audio recorded. I'd love to be able to hear it. Then you can hear somebody's tone and voice and the questions they ask. A copy of this recording will be transmitted to Moscow Police Department and placed into evidence. Nothing further. So this individual, and here's my point to this too. There's two things I want to say. This individual sat down with the ISP. ISP therefore gave it to Moscow Police Department. And how did 5 of these major things in here get leaked to the media? Was there anything else that you saw in this document that got leaked to the media? Let's make sense of this. It was never leaked that people thought he had autism. They never talked about that. That would have been taboo. Because the experts know that people with autism tend not to commit violent crimes. If that would have been out in the media, everyone would have known this couldn't have been him. Factually innocent him. What else in this document do you see that was leaked to the media? Because ISP took this document, said they were sending it to Moscow. and they logged it into evidence, this recording. Who got this report? Because this report was written on the day he was arrested, 12/30/2022. There are things in this document that got leaked to the media. There were things in here. The Ted Bundy topic, the famous professor that he was linked to, the misogyny, the event. Think about it. What else was leaked in this document? How cold and calculated he was to commit the perfect crime. Somebody saw this statement from this individual, thought that they were absolutely credible, and they ran with it. And that's why I say, is enough really enough? What they did to him was totally unacceptable, and it should be socially unacceptable to do this to an individual. Now, I'll be back to show you part 2 of what the professor had said about him and all the rumors that went around on social media and in mainstream media. It is so much easier to understand what the professor had said about Kohberger. So if you want me to keep bringing you the truth, drop a like, hit subscribe. What kind of questions do you guys have for me today? Let's talk about this. Don't forget, everyone knows everybody. Maybe someone she knew. I agree, Alexa. Yep. The Pullman 4, I've got a video in my video live streams. It's all in the documents on the Pullman 4 and what the police released in regards to the Pullman 4 of 2021, October, in Pullman, Washington. And this was the precursor to the IDAHO4. Yep, no reports. Hawaiian, it says he is Hawaiian Samoan. Samoan Hawaiian. That's what it says his race is on the documents. Yep, they ruined his life in social media, in the media, period. They'll railroad him. What? I think BK is coloring his hands with beet juice or food coloring. Now, okay, let's think about this logically for a second. I don't think anybody would intentionally color their hands with any food coloring. But if you're vegan and you're juicing your own fruits and vegetables, and there's been times where I juice beets and my hands are beet red. I don't think he's coloring his hands intentionally. I think doing your own vegetables and drinking, yeah, that would happen. I thought you said 2024. No, it's 2021. It's the Pullman 4. 4 girls living in a house out there in the middle of the night. A stranger breaks in with a knife. It's on my videos. It's called the Pullman 4, and it was released from the Pullman emails. Brian is not Samoan or Hawaiian. You know, I question that myself. But on these documents, it says it right here. Samoan, Hawaiian, male, 28. Unknown. Suspect 1, Brian Kohberger. They have it in government official documents. Samoan, Hawaiian. Do you guys see that? Let me make it bigger for you so you can see it better. Let's see. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Samoan Hawaiian right there. Let me go up a little bit. See it right here? Samoan Hawaiian right there. Don't know either, but it's there. Don't get the turmeric on you. Yeah, the turmeric. Yeah, you don't want to do that. I think he washes his hands and is a germaphobe. I can definitely see that. Here's a random question. What time do you think Murphy went out to pee in the morning after being out all night inside the house usually? I think, in my humble opinion, they put him out on the balcony. And then when they were done, they opened the door because that's the only room that somebody was not in. And he probably went outside on the balcony. We don't have those pictures. He's part German. I remember something else. The IGG to find out his ancestry was the docs when they interviewed his neighbor. Yeah. Yeah, but on these documents on his day of his arrest, they put Samoan Hawaiian. And if they had his DNA, it would have came back as the third-party ancestry DNA. It would have gave a high percentage. So that would be, they put it on the document, Samoan Hawaiian. So I don't know why they did that. Yeah, he's not juicing fruits and veggies in prison. That my point was, prior to that, the girl had said his hands were, knuckles were red and all this stuff. That he was boxing. That's why I put that video out there. Someone said he was a boxer, and I'm like, okay, so he was a boxer. You got to get my sarcasm. I leave a ton of Easter eggs in my videos for you guys. A ton. They said he was Italian. Who knows? Who knows at this point? I mean, didn't Dylan and Wonder Why Kaylee taking him out in the morning? Yeah, somebody had to have, or they just left him outside. He would have went to the bathroom on the deck outside. I mean, my dog is scared of stairs. Maybe Murphy is too. Well, remember the dollhouse, right? The backside deck. I don't know if I have a picture of it, but they could have left him outside on the sliding glass door balcony. Let's see if I have him handy and I'll show you. Second floor, let's see. I don't think they gave us one. There is the balcony on the back side that goes into Kaylee's room that was open when the body cam. Here's a good picture. I'll use this one. Let me see if I can copy this picture real quick. I think this is possibly what happened, in my humble opinion. Let me just put this up here for you. See this picture. Where is it? Here it is. All right. I'm going to put this up on the stage. See this picture right here? This was Kaylee's sliding glass back door. If that was open when the cops arrived, okay, on the body cam. I don't know if you remember, but when he goes into you can see the sliding glass door open. There's some in regards to the crime scene photos. And so the door was open and Murphy was in this room. But along the back here, there's a whole area you could walk through where there was a dog bed and some other pictures that were shared. Murphy's dog bed. Hold on. And it looks like his bed was thrown out on the back patio, on the back balcony. Let me see. Let me see if I can grab this shot. Hold on. This picture right here will give you a better understanding of the dog situation. See this back balcony? This door, the sliding door was open. And The balcony itself, you could see his dog bed was on the back balcony. I'm trying to find that exact picture, but I've seen this. Is it in the ISP documents? Let me look. The photos. I think they threw him on the balcony because he had barked. There was another statement last night that I shared with you guys that an individual said that he heard Murphy barking for almost 45 minutes. 45 minutes. I think because they left Murphy out on the balcony, in my humble opinion. If nobody got touched in Kaylee's room, then it had to been Murphy was there. And they opened the door so they didn't have to take him out, in my humble opinion. If they left him out in the backyard, on the back patio, on the balcony, and they threw his bed out there, which you can see his bed's out there. If he had to go relieve himself, I'm sure the dog would have just went on the balcony. And I'll show you what I mean by seeing this picture right here. So here's the picture of the back balcony. It looks like maybe somebody did maybe throw his bed out there. I don't know what all this stuff is. Does anybody know? Is that pine cones or something? Is that hair? I mean, what exactly is this? I can't see. Let me see if I could see it better. I mean, what is this? Is that just stuff collected from the tree? Looks like dog hair to me. Brown fur that was found in the tree. I have a feeling I know, but I don't think you guys want to know. Well, tell me what that is. All right, Christina, we want to hear. That's dog food? Dog food. Oh my God, you might be right. I thought maybe it was the berries from the tree. But is that dog food thrown out there? Stuffing from the bed. Oh yeah, it could be too. Stuffing from the bed could be. Yeah, that could be. Animals were being killed before the killings. That's brown fur. Could be. Fur. Dog fur. Tore up dog fur or stuffed animal. Could be a stuffed animal. I mean, there was another stuffed animal, I believe, on the thing that I saw. It looks like fur. It does look like fur. Let me go back up a little bit. Let me see. I know there's more pictures out here. Let's see. There was a picture. There was a dog toy too. So obviously they tried to secure this door. There's a dog toy. But if Murphy had nowhere to go, he would probably just go on the back of the porch. Could have been a blanket. They showed a picture of Buddy the dog a while back, and it showed a picture of that dog bed. Really? Wow. No idea. Dog fur, dog fur, dog fur. It looked like dog fur. Now, Buddy was an Australian or a collie, wasn't he? Buddy the dog that was skinned. Let me look. Buddy the dog. This is Buddy's the dog. Hold on. Buddy the dog picture. Yeah, he looks like he's a mixed. He's an Australian Shepherd. And there's Buddy the dog. So his skin has got dark fur. So are you trying to say that was Buddy the dog's fur? Oh, that's a scary thought. That is totally scary. So what were they trying to send a message? Not the same dog as the fur. I'm thinking it's a blanket. Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time buying that story. Was it Buddy the dog's fur? Now, it doesn't look like the same color fur at all. So, I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of reaching there. I mean, they could match the dog fur if they needed to if they think that that was related to the Buddy the dog. And then, obviously, yeah, that doesn't look like the same type of fur. But I'm the dog expert. I'm just telling you what I see. But he was a cute little dog. Poor Buddy. R.I.P. Buddy. Some real asshole out there hurt you. Okay, so that was the Buddy the dog question. Yeah, there were other animals. A rabbit. It's something else. Maybe not Buddy's. That porch needs a power wash. I agree. Not anymore. They knocked it down. I told you didn't want to hear it. I hear, Christina. I hear. But they could have, obviously did a DNA testing and see if that hair was the same. Okay, guys. Murphy's a puppy and puppies chew and rip. Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. And that kind of looked like the bedding. They put some cheap stuff in these bedding, too. I mean, if I blow up this picture, let me see if I can move it over a little bit, blow it up bigger. It looks like maybe this bed was ripped apart. I'm going to go just a little bit. Dang it. It looks like this bed was ripped apart a little bit. See the holes in it on the bottom side? Like maybe it was. You can see these holes here. Looks like maybe there was rips or tears. It does look like maybe the inside bedding, and then he drug it over here and drug it over there. And I don't know what this is, but it looks like a beanbag maybe or something at the end. Maybe a beanbag or I don't know. But yeah, puppies destroy everything. They will go and they will tear it up. I saw a picture. It was brown and looked like the fur. I wish I could remember where I saw it. Yeah, animals are innocent. Fur babies do not need to be. It's just disrespectful. Inside the bedding would be white. Nope, not necessarily. I've seen cheap beds that you buy. Well, not even cheap beds. I've seen beds that I bought from PetSmart, and they were expensive. And inside there, it looks like they just threw anything in there for filling. I'd be like, what? Yeah. One time it was brown, one was black. It was just like some polyfill that was not white. You think that it would all be white, but it looks like some of this right here has either been blurred out on the bottom of this or ripped apart, or that's just snow on top right here. Looks like it's a little bit of snow. I saw a picture and the documents were dropped. Yeah, I'd have to agree, Anita. I have to totally 100% agree. Newspaper filler. Yeah, the cheap ones from the dollar store have the newspaper filler. Not all bedding are white. I've seen that stuff. Yeah, that color. I've seen it too. Oh, man, the things that we could talk about all day long, huh? Well, I'll probably end up editing this live, but we do know that obviously Buddy is in good hands, and he has his own Instagram. And I wonder if does Buddy have his? Does Murphy have his own TikTok? I wonder if Murphy is monetized. Let me see if Murphy the dog is. Murphy the dog. Oh, and by the way, since we're talking about money, somebody told me, and I'm going to check it right now. Somebody told me that Dylan's GoFundMe was taken down, but obviously that was a rumor because this GoFundMe is still up. So there you go. It is still live, and it is well, and it is going at $112,000. And the last donation was 10 hours ago. So obviously some people haven't got the news that this might just be bogus. Yeah, so it is still up and running, guys. So I was just wondering if Buddy, not Buddy, why do I keep saying Buddy now that we talked about Buddy? Murphy has his own social media. I don't know. Remember that was 38. It wouldn't have most froze to death. I saw the dog bedding was out there. Well, if Murphy was out there for only 45 minutes, will somebody maybe cleaned up like the experts were going to testify, then I totally understand that he could have been out there for 45 minutes. He didn't have to be out there all night and freeze to death, right? So, I mean, I'm guilty of putting an animal outside. Well, it was a mistake. It was an accident. And we had no idea that it was going to snow and freeze overnight. And so, those things happen. But I don't think that Murphy was out there all night long or overnight. So, and I don't see a TikTok made for Murphy. And somebody asked me to look up the outcome of the hearing. So let me see if there is any outcome. Remember, this hearing was supposed to be private, and TROs are usually private. So I don't know who was streaming. Does anybody know? Laramie, Karen, let me see. Unreal, this judge is going to rule in the favor of the Chapins. Well, the Chapins are only, they're not part of the lawsuit. Karen is the one that's filed it, guys. Chapins just signed a declaration saying they're in support of what Karen is doing. And they will be protected underneath what she's doing also, if awarded. Let me just see if there is any outcome. And why can I not find it? Did they put it on private? Let me see if it can pull up this way. Hold on. It is under Judge. Let me go in another database. Hold on. Let me see if it's public yet. And here is the outcome. Let me throw this up here. It was on News Nation. Okay, so now I will officially say that Karen was the first one who filed being a plaintiff, and all the rest of them have now filed officially to be plaintiffs. Prior to that, they were not, and I have the screenshots. So let's see what they say. Now it's all of them saying we don't want this to be released. In person and live stream, present, hearing was at 10 a.m. It does not give the outcome of that restraining order. It doesn't give an outcome. It just says it was asked for. They went to court at 10, which is almost, let me see, 10, an hour and a half ago. You watched it. Where did you watch this? But he hasn't appealed. That means if he don't, the truth will never come out. Okay, wait a minute. It's not finalized. That's just a temp. That's so sad. I think she's scamming everyone. BK is, if he doesn't appeal, he's part. No, that doesn't necessarily mean if he doesn't appeal. If he doesn't appeal, it's because it's what he took on the plea deal. He could still appeal, but he has to have an attorney to appeal. And I called Ann Taylor's office, and they said they could not support or file an appeal on his behalf, and she could not recommend any attorneys that would. So that is exactly what I was told. I watched it. She extended the order. Lori, where did you see it? I was watching it too. Where did you guys see this? News Nation. So they had an actual streaming link and the courts didn't cut it out. Let me see. Somebody had to have leaked that link. Let me just see what it says. I don't see anything that has just been released. Let me see. Judge rules. That's something else. And you're telling me that Truth and Transparency had it? So if that was a live stream for the families in a private setting, see. Yeah, I don't see anything anywhere on this right now. Let me just see. Okay, so hold on one second. I'm going to go over there. Hold on.
Cardi B.
So it looks like somebody did have a private link to attend and probably leaked it because temporary restraining orders are normally not public. I'm not going to play this here, but typically they are not for public consumption. Even in a case like this, high profile case. Yeah. I won't replay it. I honestly don't think that somebody should have given out the link. But I mean, if you call the courthouse and you ask for the link, they'll probably say, no, we can't give it to you. It's usually only given to somebody approved to be on a live stream. And I'm surprised. Typically, they kick people out of those hearings. I'm really shocked. Very shocked. I wish I had 100 more than 150 characters to tell you everything. That's funny. Yeah, it was supposed to be private. It was not public. If it was public, they would have released the link to everyone. Well, Brian said he had inside sources on everything. Yeah, I'm sure. Phoenix, yes, and Berdino was there. Interesting. Jules streamed it. Interesting. Yeah, no, I would not be a part of something like that because unfortunately it could probably come back to bite you. If it was a private Zoom and someone shared the link, they said it was public. Who said it was public? I mean, I could call the court right now and find out. I can call. Let's do that on a live. Hold on. Let me see. I'm curious to find out. Zoom. Let me call Judge Marshall. Let's see. Let's just see. Let's see if they give us a number to contact. Latah County, County of the Courts. It wasn't announced publicly. Let's see, is there a clerk of courts? Latah County. Let's just see. Latah County Courthouse. Press releases, it wasn't under press release. It wasn't under... that's interesting. So the only way this could have been leaked was by somebody who knows. Let's see. It's the assessor, auditor, coroner, court assistants. Okay, let's call. Let's see. Get ready.
Hello, you have reached the Second Judicial Court Assistance Office. Please leave a message and I will get back to you just as soon as...
Well, nope, there wasn't anybody that answered the phone there. Hold on a minute. That was the court assistants. Let me look and see if I can find another number. Let's see if this will...
You have reached Latah County District Court. For information regarding traffic and infraction cases, please press 1. For misdemeanor cases, please press 2. For felony cases, please press 3. For civil cases, to contact the judges or for other information, please press 4. District Court, this is Lorinda.
Hey, Lorinda, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have a question in regards to a hearing that took place this morning in Latah County with Judge Marshall.
Okay, let me get you back to Beth.
Okay, that would be Beth.
She handles her stuff. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Are you the clerk court for everyone else?
Pretty much.
Okay, I figured.
She's district court. Beth is always district court.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Record your message and press pound,
shoot.
or press star to contact the
Beth.
operator.
I'll have to call Beth again. I'll ask her if it was public or private and what was the outcome. So I'm curious to find out. I'll watch whatever they said. I hear that some people said that she was very professional and that perhaps somebody just said that they would be not... Here, I'll put it up on screen. Anyways, it was a great hearing. Judge M.M. extended the temporary restraining order and added no pictures. Body cam can be shown of all the bedrooms. Well, that's fair enough because that's all that was shared so far. It's not like they, threw everything out there for us to see. So in a good way, that is positive that they are respecting the parents' wishes. Does that mean that'll hold true for the next, I don't know, until appeal dates are no longer available, or who knows? Who knows in this case? It's just quite odd. But in fact, if that was a public hearing, everyone would have had the link. And only the fact that some people had the link tells me that was a private hearing. And the minute the judges find out that a private hearing has been shared publicly, they will cut everyone off. And the benefit of that is that the people that were named in the lawsuit that brought it against Moscow will now be forced to physically be in the courtroom. They won't have the luxury of just going in on a Zoom, because now that there is some integrity issues in the future that hinders people from getting Zoom court dates, because those links are not supposed to be shared, especially if they are private hearings. Judges don't like when they have a private hearing and find out that the links have been leaked to their Zooms. So just so you guys know, and I don't support creators who do stuff like that. That is just some shady business, especially when they're supposed to be kept private. TROs are private. They are not public. So anyways, with that being said, you know, something, it was public. Believe it says on the docket, public streaming, only attorneys were present. Now, if it said public, it would have gave a Zoom link. I'm not going to argue with you, Annie. I'm just saying, typically, restraining orders are a private hearing. That doesn't mean everybody can just go into a Zoom. It says that when you get a hearing, you are given a Zoom link as part of a party to a case. That is a private link. It is not to be shared publicly. And when judges find out that a private Zoom meeting has been shared publicly, yeah, some heads are going to roll, because then they figure it's the participants who asked for the Zoom that is therefore leaking the information, which this case has had way too many leaks already. That's my point. So it is what it is. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and put up my live for part 2 of what the professors have said about Brian Kohberger at WSU. As always, thanks for tuning in. You never know what you're going to get on a live. Come hell or high water, the truth will be out. Be well, y'all.
The blur. Turnings for the lax to meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts thumping unison. Searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix and sink, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory is complete.
Essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.